Welcome back, Rankers. The nude nut is back. 1st of December, thank God. Straight into it this morning. Got a question this week from Yvonne Adele, who many of you, I'm sure, will know. National Speakers Association website, nationalspeakers.com.au. Whenever you Googled National Speakers Association, what was coming up was actually their old URL, which was a .asn.au. For those who don't know what a .asn is, it means you're an association. Australia have tried several different top-level domain names in the AU space to, create namespaces for certain types of things, but .asn really didn't take off. Anyway, they have the same website at nationalspeakers.com.au, but as you can see right here, that's not the URL that's turning up. When you go to it, however, and we did a quick header check on the site, this one that we're using is at seoconsultants.com. There's plenty out there. There's plugins for Firefox and Chrome that I'm sure will do the same thing. So you don't have to use this one. This is just one that we choose to use. We've built our own over the years as well, but it's just as quick as easy to use someone else's. Anyway, what we found, if we check the headers here, we found that instead of doing a permanent redirect, which is known as a 301, to the .com.au, when you actually request nationalspeakers.asn.au, it's doing what's called a 300 redirect. I'd never even seen that before come up in any of the sites that I've worked on. And Byron here did a quick Google and found out what it was. But basically, that kind of redirect is the wrong sort of redirect, without going into the details of what a 300 was, mainly because I wasn't paying terribly much attention to what Byron was saying when he was telling me that. But a 301 is what you need. It's a permanent redirect. And that means that it's telling Google that .asn.au is now permanently redirected to the .com.au. And what you will find then is over time, the .asn.au references should change to .com.au. The other thing you should do in this situation too is that if it's simply just a root domain change, you're not changing the site in any way, you're not changing the structure of the site in any way, that should be enough. That should be all you have to do. If, however, you are changing the site structure and there's different paths to the content where it used to be, it's now changed, you really need to be doing a redirect on every piece of content to its new relevant piece of content. And that can be a pain in the bum, but it will help you out in the long run. Of course, the other thing you should be doing, if you do have two domain names like this and you are in the process of redirecting one to the other, set them both up in Webmaster Tools, because that will let you know what if Google's finding any errors, or if you need to remove some content from the index from the old site. You can do all of that through Webmaster Tools. So Yvonne, hopefully that is helpful. But it's been a big week for online activity and online spikes in interest of things. Of course, the main one this week is Wikileaks and Cablegate. Now, many of you who have been watching the show for a while will know that I hadn't heard about Wikileaks up until early 2009, April 2009, when Senator Conroy and the Australian Communications Media Authority put it on the blacklist, which meant no one was allowed to link to it. You could still go to it, but if you linked to it, you could get a fine of up to $11,000 a day. Well, it's no longer on the blacklist. We don't know why, but it's a secret blacklist. But we've been told it's no longer on the blacklist. However, there's been, as you know, there's been a lot of scrambling by a lot of politicians worldwide over the last few days because of WikiLeaks. And our own Attorney General, and this sort of stuff scares me just a little bit, our own Attorney General came out and is looking to implement some sort of agreement between mainstream media and the government on some sort of national security protocol to stop reporting this information. It's on the net. It's already out there. I mean, you can go to the Google document that gives you the listing of every cable that is on the list that is being released. You can go to the cable viewer yourself and download your own cables I'm not too sure what trying to censor mainstream media effect, if any, is going to have, except for the Streisand effect. The Streisand effect, go and Google it. But basically, that's what's happened with WikiLeaks, certainly in Australia, because, as you know, I've been on the net for a long time, never heard of WikiLeaks, and heard about it last year. But the interesting thing with that is that I thought I'd go and have a quick look at Google Insights for search to see what sort of spikes we can see. The other thing that's happened this week, which is all the buzz around the nerds, including myself, around the internet, is that NASA's got a major press conference on Friday morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 6 a.m, to make an announcement about astrobiology with a finding that will impact the search for evidence of extraterrestrial life. That's pretty exciting. Who knows, it might be a microbe that they've found that can sustain life in a very unlikely place or something. But it's got a lot of activity and a lot of excitement. So I thought I'd go and do some keyword research around these two phenomena. And, well, not keyword research so much as keyword observation. And what I found was that if we just take WikiLeaks, for instance, and we do worldwide, now you can see there, it's quite obvious that WikiLeaks has gone through a lot of major popularity in the last month, or sorry, this year, and certainly in the last month it spiked. But whenever, and these references here, they're referencing media reports about WikiLeaks. So you can see wherever there's a spike, well, not so much this one here, but certainly these two here, there seems to be some sort of press announcement preceding it, or media story preceding these spikes. And mainstream media still has a major effect on the sorts of things people will search for. So although I'm making a little bit of fun of our Attorney General, certainly if some of these cables start hitting major newspapers, you will see a spike in the keywords around those articles in Google. And this is purely people searching for those terms. So this isn't people getting to WikiLeaks via their social networks. This is people using search to find WikiLeaks. Now, if we add UFO, because as many of you know, there's been a bit of UFO activity this year. And for those of you who don't know, yes, I'm a bit like Professor Stephen Hawking and the Drake equation. I do believe that there is extraterrestrial life out there somewhere, and it's okay to believe that now because Professor Stephen Hawking believes that. And there's been a lot of activity around UFO sightings this year, ever since, well, you can see right there, there's a couple of spikes in October. But look at this, it's consistently high as opposed to one of the major news stories of the day. And if we then add alien, not aliens, because that can be about illegal immigrants or whatever, but just alien, do a search on that, still consistently high, and you can see some mirroring spikes here between UFO and alien. Now what I found interesting is that if we then look at Australia, we can see the spike here for WikiLeaks from Stephen Conroy blacklisting it in 2009, gave it a whole lot of publicity. And you can see after that, up until that point, WikiLeaks wasn't really getting a lot of search out of Australia. But after that spike, it doubled its search amount thanks to Stephen Conroy. And then, of course, you can see here this year the different spikes in WikiLeaks that we're seeing. And this is Australian searches. But look at this UFO and alien searches. They're way above, once again, the major news story of the day, consistently, which I found quite surprising. So then I thought, well, what's been the big news in my home state this week? And that is, of course, the state election. Now, I'm going to search for the former Premier, Brumby. I'm not going to search for value because, quite frankly, I have issues with spelling and I'm not going to do it on camera. No, I don't. I think Brumby was easier to spell for most people, and as the incumbent, I figured he'd probably have more searches, but no. He did get more searches consistently than WikiLeaks, but really, seriously, alien, UFO, he's not even there. Doesn't even make the grade. So then I thought, well, that's interesting. There is a lot of Australians searching for aliens and UFOs. So there must be a lot of sites out there taking advantage of this niche. And so I thought I'd do a search for alien. But all the top sites are news sites. And when you see that all the top sites are news sites for a particular key phrase, don't be scared, because that usually means that no one's optimizing for it, because typically your news outlets are not going to optimize for a particular key phrase with every story that they do. And the other clue that no one's optimized for this is that we've got a government site here, number 2, for the word alien. They're not optimizing for the word alien. You could say, yeah, I'm sure they've got a bunch of backlinks to that page, and they've got 2 backlinks, the government, to that page. So, and then you think, well, where are all the alien sites? Why isn't anyone? And I'm thinking, well, if you're into this sort of thing, why wouldn't you build some sort of alien news site? You might say, why would you do that? Well, there's a very good reason. Backlinks. So, that is what's happening with keywords, certainly in Australia this week. I honestly thought WikiLeaks would blow everything away, but it hasn't. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens next week. If this NASA announcement is a bit of a fizzer, we probably won't see anything. But I'd be interested to see whether we're going to get some spikes and what sort of sites are going to optimize around that. Because certainly when there was the big UFO sighting over New York in October, when you go to YouTube these days, if you try to look for that original video, it would have been hijacked by spammers trying to make their channels more popular by adding keywords like New York UFO, latest New York UFO. And those spammers can teach you a lesson about the life of a story or the life of a key phrase online. Because what they're doing is they're trying to get ahead of the original story. They're trying to keep ahead for people who are maybe on the tail of the story or only just hearing about the story, but they want the latest information. So if you find a popular video or on YouTube, go and have a look at what the spammers are doing to try to hijack that traffic. They're showing essentially the same video, but they're getting the backlinks off their channel by adding words like latest and all those things. They get the latest backlinks as well from people who have only just stumbled across that information. Hopefully that's helpful. Aliens have got my tongue. And hopefully a little bit interesting and entertaining, and how to use Google Insights for search. And I just quickly scroll down here. I just want to know, who are the main people in Australia searching for aliens? Well, it turns out, yeah, you guessed it, Tasmania. See you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.